Hi everyone, my name is Jaden and I'm going to be an M1 student at the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine this fall. And I wanted to make this video to talk about how I was able to get into medical school after studying for the MCAT in only 2 weeks. I wanted to start by saying that there's no right way to study for the MCAT. I know some people that have taken gap years before going to medical school so they can study for the MCAT. And I know people like me that have done it in only 2 weeks. It's 100% up to you, obviously. But my personal preference, I had to go out of the country on a study abroad trip, and so I really only had 2 weeks to study for it after classes got out, and that's just what worked out for me. But obviously it's different for everyone, and if you don't feel like you're ready to take it, I would suggest holding off and postponing the exam so that you feel confident when you're taking it. So in this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what my schedule was like during those 2 weeks of studying, and probably the 3 most important resources that I used while studying for the MCAT as well. So to start with, I'm going to be showing the textbooks that I used. So one thing that was really important to me when I was studying for the exam was that I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on textbooks and buy all new textbooks. So I actually found some free textbooks that somebody was just giving away because they were for the old MCAT. So a lot of people think that the old MCAT textbooks are useless since they switched to the new MCAT format, when in reality, a lot of the content really is the same, and that's just what worked for me. So I was able to use this MCAT Physics and Math Review textbook. It's by the Princeton Review, but it was for the old exam, so it was deemed worthless, and it was given to me for free. The other textbook that I used, and this one was my favorite one, and I think it helped me the most when I was taking the exam, was this Biology and Biochemistry Review textbook. And again, it was from the Princeton Review in the old exam. And then I had this Physics Review book for the MCAT, and this one was by Kaplan Test Prep. And again, it was for the old exam, but I used it to study for the new format MCAT exam. And then the last thing that I used in terms of textbooks was a CARS review book by the Princeton Review. I don't have it right now because I actually loaned it to someone else who's preparing to take the MCAT this month. But all 3 of these were really helpful. Oh wait, all four of these were very helpful when studying for the exam. And I think that the reason I was able to get them for free was because they were for that old exam. But honestly, they were just as useful to me. I was able to get a good score and get into medical school. So I don't think if you're looking to save money, you don't necessarily need to buy the textbooks that are made for the new MCAT exam. I think that the old MCAT exam textbooks will work just fine. And then the next resource I wanted to talk about was the Kaplan Quick Sheets. So Kaplan gives out a free PDF of MCAT Quick Sheets, and it essentially just has a summary. It's like a 24-page PDF of everything you will need to know for the MCAT. So with these, I used it in the last 3 days when I was really cramming. I didn't want to read heavy, dense textbook material at this point. So I wanted to focus on just going through, making sure I had the majority of what was on that quick sheet. Obviously, I couldn't get everything because I only studied in 2 weeks, but I wanted to have the majority, especially the psychology and sociology terms from that quick sheet because I hadn't taken any psychology or sociology classes previously. So a lot of that was new to me. And then the third resource that I found really, really helpful was the AAMC's practice tests. So with these, they were $20 a piece, I think. I actually only bought one of them, and then my friends would buy the other AAMC practice tests, and then we would just share each other's accounts, which we're probably not supposed to do, but we did. So total, I only spent $20 to prep for the MCAT. I just bought that one AAMC practice test, and then, like I said, all my textbooks were free. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, so I said that there were 3 main resources, and it was my textbooks, my AAMC practice exams, and then my Kaplan quick sheet, which I will link down below. There's actually another thing that I used a lot. It wasn't a physical resource, but it was just videos that I would watch. So I watched the Kaplan psychology and sociology videos. I don't remember how many there were. I feel like there were 30 maybe. But I watched all of those because I had never taken a psychology or sociology class during college, And so a lot of that was really new to me, so I wanted to make sure that I watched all of those videos. And then I also watched the crash course videos on psychology. I had never taken a psychology or sociology class during college, and so a lot of that was really new to me, so I wanted to make sure that I watched all of those videos. And then I also watched the crash course videos on psychology and sociology on YouTube before taking the MCAT exam. Okay, so in terms of my schedule, so I studied in a 2-week period. And during this 2-week period, I really did nothing else but study. Obviously, I went to the bathroom and I ate some food occasionally, but other than that, I pretty much studied from morning till night. So I would get up around 6 or 7 in the morning. I would read my textbooks, and then all of the textbooks that I showed earlier in this video have practice questions and practice exams in them. So at the end of each chapter, I would do the end of the chapter practice tests. And then any questions that I got wrong, I would go back through the textbook and figure out why I got them wrong and read the explanations for each question. And that was really helpful for me. And then at the end of the day, I would just go back through every question that I had gotten wrong and review it once more. And that pretty much took until about 10 o'clock at night. So it was about, I cannot do math, 16 hours of studying a day. I would eat food that I had prepped at the beginning of the week. So both Sundays, I think, that I was studying, I prepped 7 days worth of food, and then I did it again on the next Sunday, and then I didn't have to cook it all. So I honestly just studied the entire day, other than stopping to warm up food for like 20 seconds in the microwave, and then jump right back into studying while I was eating. I'm not gonna lie, it was not a very fun 2 weeks. But in some ways, I actually would recommend doing this rather than taking a long time to study, just because I got it over with really quickly. It was just 2 weeks of really hard, intense, 16-hour-a-day studying. It was pretty miserable at the time, and by the end of the 2 weeks, I was very burned out. But compared to taking an entire gap year to study for the MCAT, it just felt so nice to just study quickly, take the exam, get it over with, and move on with my life. I can't imagine spending an entire year studying for the MCAT, and I think that in some ways it might be harder because you're spacing out that knowledge rather than just memorizing it all quickly. But I mean, if you're looking to retain this stuff long term, which you probably should, I guess 2 weeks is not the best way to study for it. But the biggest thing I want people to take away from this video is that it is possible. If you're 2 weeks away from your MCAT exam right now and freaking out like I was, I want people to be able to see this video. I know when I was doing this, before that 2 weeks, I panicked and I didn't think I could do it, and I was trying to find YouTube videos out there to show me that I could do it, and there really weren't that many of people studying for 2 weeks. So I hope that people see this and it makes them feel more confident perhaps. And I really just want people to feel inspired that they can do it. I think that's everything that I have to say today. I will be linking that Kaplan MCAT quick sheet down below, as well as the names of the practice tests that I bought and the 4 textbooks that I used. I'll just link the names. I don't know if I'll be able to find links to them online because they are from the old MCAT exam, so not very many places are selling them at this point. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to message me or comment down below, and like and subscribe. Thank you.